What is diabetes, and what is it to be diagnosed and to live with the condition? Type 1.
Hi there, my name is Paz Garcia and welcome to the first episode of Type 1 TV. Today we're going to be asking, what is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition. What this means is that the immune system, which normally keeps you safe and protects you from infections, instead attacks the body. It would be a bit like the scarf, which is meant to protect me from the cold, suddenly tightening and hurting me. In type 1 diabetes, the immune system attacks and destroys the cells in the pancreas that produce the hormone insulin. This means that a person who lives with type 1 diabetes needs to replace this lost insulin, usually through injections or an insulin pump. There is no way to prevent type 1 diabetes and no way to cure it, but JDRF want to change that. That's why we fund over 500 research projects around the world, so we can find new ways to cure, treat and prevent type 1 diabetes and eradicate the condition for good. That's it for today. Next time we'll be talking about insulin and why it's so important, so look out for the next episode and I'll see you then.
Hello, my name is Sunny and I've got type 1 diabetes.
Type 1 diabetes is when my body don't make insulin.
Diabetes looks like a drug because it hurts.
Type 1 makes me feel exhausted. Some days it makes me feel anxious. Some days it makes me feel sad.
It kind of makes me feel that it's my fault.
Just less than a year ago, Joshua was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and it was almost a defining moment in our life. The confusion that came from it, because we had no idea what it was about, and the worry that how would a 5-year-old son cope with having 5 injections a day.
Kai, being 8, was very he took it matter-of-factly. However, what we quickly realised, it was forever.
When I was first diagnosed, I felt that I was a bit scared because I didn't know what was happening around me.
Diabetes is a strange condition because on the one hand you can appear to live quite a normal life, and you can live a normal life, but it requires a huge amount of attention and care throughout the day.
Type 1 diabetes makes you feel quite powerless in certain ways because you can't always control it. I think a lot about the fact that right now, while my daughter's very young, I'm carrying a lot of the burden of having to look after the diabetes from day to day. My heart breaks thinking about when she's older, having to hand that over to her.
I think a cure for type 1 is going to come from just continued research and dedication to trying to find that cure.
It's going to come from research, and that comes from JDRF raising money and making sure that the good research out there gets the funding, and then that research ends up in the finished product that is going to help cure us.
If I had one wish, it would be let diabetes go away.
Or to have a wish would be to find a cure.
It would really improve the lives of not only our daughter, but also our son and the two of us.
I wish I wouldn't have diabetes anymore.
I want to thank everyone at the dinner for being so generous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
About 90% of people with diabetes have type 2 diabetes. If you've got type 2, the insulin your pancreas makes can't work properly, or your pancreas can't make enough insulin. And we all need insulin to live. It does an essential job. It allows the glucose in our blood to enter our cells and fuel our bodies. When you have type 2 diabetes, your body still breaks down carbohydrate from your food and drink and turns it into glucose. The pancreas responds to this by releasing insulin. But because this insulin can't work properly, blood glucose levels keep rising, so more insulin is released. For some people with type 2 diabetes, this can eventually tire the pancreas out, meaning their body makes less and less insulin. This causes even higher blood glucose levels. So what does this mean? Well, as your body can't get enough glucose into your cells, a common symptom of type 2 diabetes is feeling very tired. Other symptoms include needing to wee a lot, feeling extremely thirsty, cuts and grazes healing slowly, and getting infections like thrush. A lot of people don't get any symptoms or they don't notice them. Some people don't think the symptoms are important, so don't ask for help. This means that people can live with type 2 diabetes for up to 10 years before being diagnosed. And over a long period of time, high glucose levels in your blood can seriously damage your heart, your eyes, your feet, and your kidneys. These are known as the complications of diabetes. But with the right treatment and care, the effects of diabetes and high glucose levels can be managed. So if you've got any of these symptoms, see a doctor as soon as possible. There are different ways of treating type 2 diabetes. Some people can manage it by healthier eating, being more active and losing weight. Eventually, most people will need medication to bring their blood glucose down to a safe level. Whatever the treatment, everyone with type 2 diabetes needs to learn how to live with it. We help people do exactly that. Take a look at our website to see how we can help you. Our researchers are also investigating ways to put type 2 diabetes into remission, so people's blood glucose levels return to normal and stay there. And they're finding out more and more about type 2 diabetes, so that we can do more to prevent it, find new ways to treat it, and one day find a cure.
And 3 years ago, I found out that I was at risk of becoming type 2 diabetic.
The doctor explained what type 2 diabetes is and how it works. That's when I realised it was serious and I had to change if I wasn't to become a statistic.
I'm Pat, and
I'm Anne, hello.
I'm 60, and she's not.
I'm not. No.
She's not, okay, that's a secret, okay. We've been asked by Diabetes UK to do like a mini documentary of our journey from pre-diabetic to where we are now.
I knew I was overweight. I knew I was unfit. I'd always played a lot of sport and played competitive sport, so I knew what it was like to be fit. I'd been to the doctors for one of my regular blood tests, and that's what threw up an elevated HbA1c reading. My dad had diabetes. It never occurred to me that it might be really dangerous.
There was a doctor in the first meeting we went to, and I just happened to say to her, you know, can you tell us a bit more about diabetes and why it's so bad?
That was a real game changer in terms of understanding where I was, and I knew I had to do something and follow some advice. Because I was overweight, going out on a 2-mile walk was like a major exercise. So Anne was more the leader in initially, you know, getting us out there and doing stuff. And without her support, it wouldn't have been so easy, shall we say. By doing this together, it helped us stay motivated. I'm not at risk of type 2 diabetes now.
Exercise isn't easy, but it does get easier.
I had this crazy idea that I would take on a 6-hour ride. I trained quite hard and I gradually increased the sort of length of rides I was doing. At that point I'd raised 500 quid. At the end of the day I was pretty exhausted, but I knew I'd achieved something which I knew I wouldn't have achieved 6 months before. So that was pretty good in itself, because you know then yourself how far you've come in a relatively short space of time.
But when we first started, 15-20 minutes seemed like a hell of a long time.
After visiting the Diabetes UK website, that gave us some really helpful, useful tips that we were able to incorporate into our daily life. The meal planning options on the website are a good start point, and with all cooking you can always change things to suit yourself, because it's not an easy thing to do, to make change on an ongoing basis and make it stick. And because we're not talking specifically about diets, there's things that we like that we can still have, but in moderation. It's in our lives all the time. It would be very easy to slip back and go back to a situation where you are at risk of type 2 diabetes. Well, we make sure that on a daily basis we try and do the right thing so we don't end back up in that situation.
Hoping that has given you an insight as to what is diabetes and what it is to live with the condition. Complications associated with diabetes. Chronic complications. These are long-term problems that can develop gradually and can lead to serious damage if they go unchecked and untreated. Foot and nerve damage problems. Diabetes foot problems are serious and can lead to amputations if untreated. Nerve damage can affect the feeling in your feet, and raised blood sugar can damage the circulation, making it slower for sores and cuts to heal. That's why it's important to tell your GP if you notice any change in how your feet look or feel. Statistically, every hour someone with diabetes has a toe, foot or leg amputated. Make sure you're not one of them by knowing the signs of a foot problem and how to take care of your feet and protect them from harm.
I've lived in Cornwall pretty much all my life. I'm quite blessed, really.
It's a beautiful beach.
It is.
You mentioned you can't really go onto the sand anymore?
No, it doesn't work very well with the prosthetic. It was a blister which I didn't take too much notice of. Despite having been told to be careful about feet by my diabetes nurse, I obviously didn't take it on board. I did not expect it to lose my leg over it. Being in a wheelchair for couple of months wasn't too much fun. I'm upset when the phone rings and it's the other side of the bed, and it's sort of silly things like that. Day to day sort of, it's frustration, I suppose. At the end of the day, I'd like to have my leg back. Thank you very much. I wasn't checking my feet. I was unaware that it's important to do that. Really.
Yeah, it is amazing how much cases like yours could be maybe avoided just from simple bits of information.
Yeah. I think it is about information. People have got to take responsibility for their own health. Help is available, and obviously it's important to get that help when you need it.
What are the kind of signs you think people should be looking out for?
They need to check their feet every day. They need to moisturise their feet. They need to keep their feet healthy, And a very important point is that if you've got anything, minor cut, anything at all, refer it to either your GP or the podiatry. You've got to act, you've got to do something.
Heart attack and strokes. When you have diabetes, high blood sugar for any period of time can damage your blood vessels. This can sometimes lead to heart attack and strokes. Kidney problems. Diabetes can cause damage to your kidney over a long period of time, making it harder to clear extra fluid and waste from your body. This is caused by high blood sugar levels and high blood pressure. It is known as diabetic neuropathy or kidney disease.
Complications associated with diabetes. Eye problems. Glaucoma. Glaucoma is a group of eye diseases that can damage the optic nerve, the bundle of nerves that connects the eye to the brain. Diabetes doubles the chances of having glaucoma, which can lead to vision loss if not treated early. Cataracts. The lenses in our eyes are clear structures that help provide sharp vision, but they tend to become cloudy as we age. People with diabetes are more likely to develop cloudy lenses called cataracts. People with diabetes can develop cataracts at an earlier stage than people without diabetes. Researchers think that the high glucose levels cause deposits to build up in the lenses of your eyes. Diabetic retinopathy. About 1 in 3 people with diabetes who are older than 40 already have some signs of diabetic retinopathy. Diabetic retinopathy is the most common cause of vision loss in people with diabetes. Each person's outlook for the future, however, depends in large part on regular care. Finding and treating diabetic retinopathy early can reduce the risk of blindness by 95%.
We use our eyesight every second of the waking day. Seeing is so natural, most of us take it for granted. Joan Clayton used to take her sight for granted, but not anymore.
It makes me shudder when I think I could have lost my sight. When I think I might never have been able to see again the faces of my family. Never be able to see my garden again and the beautiful colours.
Not long ago, Joan Clayton was going blind without even knowing it. A routine trip to the optometrist alerted Joan to her condition and saved her sight. The optometrist told Joan she had signs of a condition called retinopathy. Joan has diabetes, and retinopathy can affect anyone with diabetes. Here's how it works. In a healthy eye, a network of blood vessels supplies nutrients to the retina, the seeing part of the eye. Retinopathy is the name given to changes that occur to these vessels. There are 2 sight-threatening forms of retinopathy. In the first, maculopathy, some of the small vessels around the macula, the sensitive central part of the retina, become blocked. Others enlarge to compensate, but the enlarged vessels often leak, and fluid builds up around the macula. This causes swelling and leads to loss of sight. The second form of the disease, proliferative retinopathy, can affect any part of the retina. Vessels again become blocked. New blood vessels grow to compensate, but these are often in the wrong places. They spread throughout the retina and even forward into the center of the eye. The abnormal vessels often bleed. As they heal, scar tissue forms, resulting in a tightening that can pull on the retina and may cause it to detach. This also leads to loss of sight.
Any vision lost is lost for good.
That's the bad news. Now here's the good news. If retinopathy is detected in its early stages, treatment is usually very successful. Once symptoms are present, treatment can still be effective, but it cannot recover any vision that's already been lost. That's why early diagnosis is crucial. But there's a snag. In the early stages of the disease, most people are not aware of any change in their vision. So how do you catch retinopathy before it affects your sight? There's only one way: regular eye tests. Regular tests can also give vital early warning of glaucoma, another eye disease associated with diabetes. It means that people with diabetes have their eyes examined once a year, every year.
Right, I'm just going to get you to read a few letters for me.
There's more good news. For people with diabetes, eye examinations are free.
K-B-Z-A. That's good.
The tests are painless and can be carried out by a doctor or at specialising high street opticians.
Okay.
As well as reading from wall charts, people with diabetes must have the retina in each of their eyes properly examined.
I'm just going to put a couple of drops in your eyes, Jen. Okay? Now, if you rest your
Eye drops are used to enlarge the pupil, providing a clear view through to your retina. The eye specialist may also take photographs of your retinas.
Right, Joan. In looking inside your eyes, we've found a few little changes there that may well be related to the diabetes. They're not affecting your vision at present, but if we don't do something about them, they may affect your vision in future. So what we're going to do is I'm going to refer you to see an ophthalmologist. He'll have a look at your eyes and we'll see what we're going to do to stop those changes causing you any harm. Okay?
Right. Mrs. Clayton?
If the tests find that there are signs of retinopathy, you'd be referred to hospital for laser treatment.
The doctor who will be doing your laser. Before we start, let me just explain what we're going to do.
Laser treatment does not involve a stay in hospital. It only requires a visit to outpatients.
Right now, Mrs. Clayton, put your chin on the chin rest here.
After local anaesthetic eye drops are put in the eye, the laser beam is directed into the abnormal parts of the retina.
See some flashes of light coming into your eye. Try not to blink. Look straight ahead.
Tiny beams of laser light are used to seal leaky blood vessels in the retina. The laser can also be used to destroy abnormal blood vessels.
Now sit back a second.
If laser treatment is administered early, then it's usually very successful.
Thank you.
I feel now completely relieved that I went for that eye test. Those few minutes have saved my sight. I would say to anyone who has diabetes, go and get your eyes tested.
So save your eyes. Don't lose sight of diabetic eye disease.